At 6, team coverage of the State House standoff between House Speaker Nick Mattiello and Senate President Dominic Ruggiero.
We are now 6 days into the conflict that's left Rhode Island without a budget for the new fiscal year. Tonight, neither side shows any sign of backing down. And new at 6, we're hearing from the Senate President following Speaker Mattiello's appearance on the radio this afternoon. WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi is standing by with analysis. But first, Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado begins our team coverage live from the mobile newsroom. Steph.
Well, I just spoke to the Senate President here at the State House and the House Speaker right before that. Neither one is willing to back down and come back this year to pass the budget and send it to the governor's desk. That means, among other things, the car tax cut isn't happening for the foreseeable future. The budget impasse doesn't look like it will end anytime soon. Both the House Speaker and Senate President saying the other chamber should be coming back to pass it.
They broke it, they can fix it on their own and send it to the governor.
I'm hoping that cooler heads will prevail and that the House comes back and we have some kind of an agreement.
The impasse is over an amendment to the car tax phase-out Senate President Dominic Ruggiero added on the last day, a trigger to stop the tax cut if there's an economic downturn.
It was a secret amendment that they wanted to spring on us at the last minute.
I had mentioned it numerous times when I had met with him, both on the longevity of the program. I asked him if he could stretch that out to 8 years and also put the trigger in.
The two Democrats say they have not spoken at all in the past week to try and resolve this standoff.
I'm willing to talk to the Speaker at any time if he wants to meet. I certainly would be willing to meet with him.
So why not give him a call?
Well, I think it's up to him to give him a call because we passed the budget. The budget's in their hands now. So.
I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I'm going to enjoy my summer.
Now, the budget isn't the only thing that didn't pass the General Assembly when the House went home early last week. The mandatory paid sick days bill, also a bill to take guns away from people accused of domestic violence, are both stuck in limbo. Now, the House Speaker tells me he would be willing to come back for a special fall session to pass some of those bills, but he says only if the Senate passes the House version of the budget. Live in Providence with the Mobile Newsroom, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
And we have more in-depth coverage of the State House standoff now. WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi joins us now in studio. He's been following the developments since last Friday. Ted, at least looking at this, it looks less about the budget and more about who's in charge. Is that fair?
That's absolutely right, Mike. I mean, there is a policy disagreement here about whether the car tax phase out should have sort of a circuit breaker in case state revenue drops and maybe you pause it for a time. But what Speaker Mattiello and Senate President Ruggiero are really battling over, I think, is supremacy. The House, historically, the House has led the way on the budget, and the House doesn't want to give up that power. The Senate, unsurprisingly, would like more of a say in the budget. And so they've now decided to pick this fight after many decades of the precedent being set. If it was just about the car tax, I actually think it might be easier to resolve, but it's a lot harder when one chamber or the other is going to be asked to accept that the other one's more powerful.
All right, Ted, despite all of this that's going on, there's no government shutdown because of a law that lets the state continue operating on last year's spending levels. But when do we start seeing the effects of this?
Well, I think you're already seeing some effects, Mike, not some of the major ones you might see down the road, but on two of the most high-profile provisions of the budget, the car tax cut and the free CCRI tuition, there is an impact already. People will remember Speaker Mattiello won his re-election very narrowly last November, and he promised voters in his Cranston district he would cut the car tax. Well, Mayor Fung's office in Cranston tells me because of this standoff, they're sending out bills in Cranston with no car tax cut. So that's going to hit home for voters in Mattiello's district. And then Governor Raimondo saying that she'll find a way to offer free tuition at CCRI even if the budget doesn't pass in the coming months. That's raising questions about the authority she has to do that. The Speaker saying she doesn't have the authority, but right now CCRI is advising students to apply for the fall anyway, despite the standoff, so their paperwork is in order if and when the budget passes.
All right, WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi staying on top of this. He's going to be tracking this every step of the way. Ted, thank you very much. And be sure to check out Ted's stories online and follow him on Facebook and Twitter for the latest developments in state politics.